Hello, our one person who's watching us, whoever you are. Can you hear me, Greenie? Hello.
Hey there.
He's funny. Oh, anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? How you doing, Charlie?
I'm good. It's raining like crazy, but yeah, things are good.
Is it raining down there?
Yeah, it sounds like it's lightening up a little bit, but
we're having a hell of a storm here.
I'm sorry?
We're having a hell of a storm here. It's raining real hard.
Yeah. That time of year.
Yeah, well, you go out, you got to have your raincoat with you. Let's see who we got here. Okay, that's me forewarning everybody. We have a good storm. Yeah, if the power goes out, we're dead. Hello there. Good morning from Montreal. Is it cold in Montreal? My big question. Oh, we lost Greenie.
Actually, Montreal, from my recollection, at this time of year is a lovely place. Montreal is one of the nicest towns I've ever visited. I was in New York, not that far away, but for some reason I hadn't been there. I had never gone there. And I guess about 10 years ago, I went to visit somebody in the yoga business that I knew there. And what a nice town. It's like really a nice place. I wouldn't want to go in January.
Yeah, I've never been to Montreal, but I've been to Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, north of Maine. That's where my family's from. And we spent a week up there on a farm. It's a nice country up there, but I've never been to like Montreal or Toronto or anything like that. So and then school, it was raining. Just looked outside and it's pouring. Yeah. Where are you at? Are you in Chiang Mai? Because it's doing the same thing here. It's when I turned the computer on, it just started coming down crazy. But hopefully we won't lose any power. Did you ever go up into Canada, Greenie, from where you were up around Michigan?
Yeah, I was only a half hour from Windsor, Canada, where I grew up. Literally, I was on by between 8 and 9 Mile in Detroit, and then you just go right downtown, go through the tunnel, and you're in Canada. So we'd go there all the time. I'd go eat dinner in Canada, like it's like going to the next city over.
Yeah. Now, did you have to get any kind of visa or anything? You just show them your driver's license, didn't you?
Back then, you showed ID if they asked. Half the time, they didn't ask to see any ID or anything. They just said, "What's your citizenship?" USA. Okay, it's just a normal thing. People go back and forth all the time.
It's not like us going down to the south and trying to get into Cambodia. It's nothing like that.
Oh no, it was just easy peasy. But now you got to have a passport now, I think, or the different card, I think you need a passport to go back and forth now.
Yeah. When I used to fly over to the Bahamas, and it didn't matter which island we went to, whether we flew into Freeport or whether we flew into Nassau, all we had to do is just show them our driver's license. The same thing coming back in. We didn't have to have a passport or anything like that.
Right.
My last trip to the States, I visited a friend in El Paso, Texas, and we took a ride into Mexico, and I was a little bit surprised to see that going into Mexico, they just kind of waved you right through. There was no real checks at all. Now, coming back to the United States, it was, bomb sniffing dogs and waiting online and the whole deal, but going into Mexico, it was like they just kind of waved you through. It was really easy.
Glad to get rid of you.
They don't care. They want your money. They don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was my the last time I went to the States, and I was getting ready to leave. I kept looking for the passport control to get out, and there wasn't one. You just leave. And it's the same way.
Where?
When Lex went over there, she didn't have to show her passport to get out. She just had to get out of there. So I don't know how they keep track of who's coming and going. I don't know if that's changed now or not. But
I just left. I don't remember having to just go on your flight, Maybe the airlines log it in or something, your name when you leave the country.
Oh, okay. Going to Windsor now requires proof of vaccine, huh?
What's up, Howard? How you doing? Still in Florida?
America has become, it's harder now for Canadian to enter the U.S. Huh? That's interesting. I didn't think it would be. They're sure letting them across the Mexican border fast enough, though, that's for sure. But, you know, I have always thought, Canada and the United States is just pretty much, just walk across the road and you're in.
When
Yeah,
I was gonna say not last time, but I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2016. Sometime when I went to Thailand, I flew out of Toronto. And then when I came back, I went to the Sarnia Bridge. It was by Port Huron. And I mean, they pulled me over, searched me, gave me like a ration of shit coming back. They're like, where'd you come from? I'm like, well, just coming from Canada, but I was in Thailand for whatever. And yeah, so it was just crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. But,
My most interesting flight, now that I think about it, driving into Canada was like pretty easy. I'm talking, maybe 13 years ago, driving across Vermont into Canada on my way to Montreal for that visit. I mean, there was a checkpoint, but it was pretty informal going into Canada. Like I said, it's a little more serious getting back into the States. But I flew into Canada, into, what city was that? It was Toronto. I flew into Toronto on a dinner date. A woman I had met in New York, and she was Canadian, and she was there on business. She flew back, and I went there seriously for dinner date. It was just a weekend thing. And so there was a little bit more security at the airport. I did have to pass through Canadian immigration at the airport. And I remember at the time, as dumb as I was about things going on, it was the first time that they had a SARS virus. That's how long ago this was. Remember that very first, I think they were calling it flu or something. I don't know. It was some kind of virus.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, global virus scare that was big in Asia and not quite as big in North America, but the Canadians were taking it seriously. And I hadn't even been paying attention. And I get off the plane and walk into the airport, and everybody in the airport is wearing masks, now, surgical masks, which today isn't a big, we're used to people doing that because back then it was a weird thing. And I'm looking around thinking, I might have made a mistake coming here, because apparently Toronto was like ground zero of some of the spread of it there. But when I got to immigration, the guy asked me, he says, what is it? What is your business in Canada? I told him the truth. I said, I'm here to go on a date. And he looked at me like I had 3 eyes. I said, well, that's why I'm here. It's like he was annoyed with me that I even said that. I guess maybe he was dating a Canadian.
That's funny. It's crazy. I guess it's different just about everywhere you go. Whenever you try to cross the border, you're going to get a different reaction, no matter where you are. And
they have a lot of power, those individual immigration people around
the
world.
They sure do. You can get there with all the proper paperwork, and they still have a right to refuse you entry, and it's really crazy. And when Lex came over the first time, we had to go to Atlanta, and we landed in Atlanta, and she had to clear immigration. She had this great big package that immigration had here in Bangkok had given her to deliver. And we go through the one line, and he pulls us over, and they put us in this little office. And we sat there for probably about 40 minutes, just the two of us sitting there, and she had her little packet there. And finally, somebody came out from one of the doors and opened up the packet and said, okay, you can go. Off you go. And she was home free. She got in. But now to get her back out, before she got her green card, I had to apply for, they call it early parole or something like that. And you send them $100 and they send you this little certificate. She's got to have that to get back in the country. So anytime we left the country until she got her green card, she had to have one of those pieces of paper, and you had to file. I
thought you had to stay there the whole time. You can leave, huh?
Yeah. When after she got there, we got married. While her after we got married in the United States, then we had to apply for permanent residence for her, which is her green card, and that takes about probably 6 months to a year to actually get the appointment. And she was legally in the country, but if we wanted to leave the country before she got her green card, then she had to have what they call they call it a parole slip, and you have to show it to get back in the country. But once she got her green card, then she could come and go as she pleased. But between then, and I think we left twice during that time, and I had to get 2 different ones. It was a lot of work and a lot of trips.
Yeah, I'm trying to do everything from here, and just get just doing everything from here, and have the interview at the embassy here and everything.
Well, what you're trying to get is a tourist visa for her, correct?
No. This is
Are you trying to get permanent residence?
Well, just so that we can come and go as we want, but we still want to live here, but I want to be able to go back and forth as much as we want.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a process, apparently,
yeah.
I think.
Now, in order for her to get a green card, she has to be a permanent resident of the United States. In other words, you have to go and move there. I think probably what you're going to, unless you're going to move and stay there, what they'll do is they'll give her a 10-year visa where she can come and go if she pleases for the next 10 years, but she can only stay 6 months. If she stays longer than 6 months, then you have to apply for permanent residence.
So is that like a tourist visa then? Because that's not what I'm
applying. She'll get basically a tourist visa, a 10-year tourist visa.
That's not what I'm working on right now. Is well, she's got to do this form, United States USCIS Form I-130A, and then apply this other thing that I'm her petitioner, and she's the. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just doing
check and make sure what you're applying for, because unless you're planning on going over there and staying over there, it won't do her any good to have a green card, because once she's out of the country for 6 months, I believe it's either 6 months or a year, that green card is no longer any good. Like I had one for 10 years.
Once you move there and come back, so if we move there for a year and then she left for 8 months, then it's expired?
It'll expire, yeah. And I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, but I think it's either 6 months or a year. If she's not in the country for I'd have to look it up. But when she came here, after she had been here 365 days, her green card was no longer valid. In order for her to go, she's got a green card, but she can't go back to the United States without going for a tourist visa now.
Oh, okay.
So, because if I wanted to go back to the States now and take her, I'd have to apply for a tourist visa, and she'd have to surrender her the old green card that she's got that now it's expired, but she'd have to surrender that, and they'd give her bless you. They'll give her
I'm talking to an attorney.
10-year tourist visa. The 10-year tourist visa is fine, but the only problem with that is you only get 6 months. In other words, she can go, but she can only stay 6 months. Now, I don't know.
Oh, that's long.
Yeah, I don't know if you can extend that or not once you're there. I don't know. I had a friend of mine that lived here, and he was Vietnamese guy, but he was an American, and his wife was Thai, and he took his wife over there on a tourist visa, and apparently he applied for the permanent residence once he got there, and she, she's been there for like 5 years now. So I don't. They changed the rules so much. It's kind of hard to keep track of, but
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more digging.
Yeah, just make sure you're getting the right one for her, because if you get the permanent resident one, then she's got to go over there and be a permanent resident for I don't know how long. But,
that's what I was wondering. How long does she have to stay to get that permit before we can start bouncing back and forth? You know,
it might be only 6 months. I don't know. I'll try to research that. I'll try to look it up because I remember they have to be in the country so many months. And, you know, and there's another thing too, Rennie, that I'll tell you about. In order for her to collect on your Social Security, you say you die, okay, and she isn't a Thai or a American citizen. In order for her to collect on your Social Security, she has to have lived with you in the United States as your wife for 5 years.
right?
You know, and if I'm not mistaken, it can be an accumulation of 5 years. You know, like 6 months here, 6 months there, or 6 months, you know, whatever. But it has to be a total of 5 years. Her feet have to be on the ground, living with you as your wife. And see, that's what Lek and I did. We never got citizenship for Lek, and because I was under the impression that she had to be in the country 5 years before she could get it, and the 5 years and then another year to wait for her citizenship, we would have already been here, so I didn't apply for it. But I also found out too, if you're married, it's only 2 years. So if you go over there and you live there for 2 years with her, she can apply for U.S. citizenship as long as you're married.
Okay, well, I don't plan on moving back over there for, I mean, you know, anything more than 2 weeks, I'm already climbing the wall. So
Feel the feeling.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just heard it crashing here too, so probably the same. You're probably hearing the same thunder and lightning I'm hearing. But hopefully we won't have any power outages. But who knows?
How many people are on right now? How many people are on right now?
17.
Oh, okay.
We got a total of 17 viewers.
So that saying they're raining cats and dogs. That always, my grandmother used to say that all the time. I presume that's an Irish saying of some sort. If my grandmother would have been saying it, and I was always curious about that. And another one that I used in a video that I made last night was, "There's more than one way to skin a cat." And when I thought about that saying, it's like, what kind of weirdo would want to skin a cat? I love these old sayings. Like, where does that come from? What does raining cat and dogs mean?
How do you think if they don't skin them, how are they going to serve you the meat at a lot of them restaurants there in New York, Charlie? You don't think you ever ate cat?
Chinese food.
Hey, don't be messing with my hometown. Best food in the world there.
Yeah, cat's delicious. I'm sure you've enjoyed it many times. You just don't know it. I have a funny story. Speaking of that,
let's hear it.
There was this guy. He was a policeman. He was working the desk one day, and our animal control, they only deal with dogs. They don't deal with stray cats or anything like that. They don't take cats to the pound. There's no pound for the cats there. It was just dogs. So somebody brings in a cat and says, "Hey, I found this stray cat," and so the officer, he got in trouble for this. He goes, "Well, we don't take dogs. Take it up to," and at Six and Beach, there was a Chinese race. He said, "Take it up to," I forgot, Happy whatever, Happy Garden. Take it to Happy Garden. They'll probably take it from you.
Crazy. I was just I watched Nick Nimmin. He has these little things that come on every Friday night, and he was talking about some of the things that they're going to change on Facebook or on YouTube, and some of these channels are going to have some real problems. The
twerking ones.
Yeah.
No more doing massages. No more of this. Sexy lady haircuts. All that stuff. They're gonna cry. I mean, some people already did get that pineapple whatever channel. They got it was just the girl in a thong all the time. They got rid of that one. They kicked them off. But now it sounds like they're really gonna crack down on that.
Yeah. Well, who knows? You look at TikTok, and it's just absolutely crazy. I mean, some of the stuff that you're seeing.
Yeah.
Now, we were looking at Charlie. You and I both looked at our shorts the other day, and it was all dancing girls, wasn't it?
6 for 6 bimbos again today. No, I'm sorry, it was 5 for 6 today. Greenie was my other one. I'm finally getting short recommendations from somebody I know. So
Yeah.
I never click on the short recommendations on my YouTube channel. Just I want to see what they send me without me telling them anything about what I want to watch. And they're always sending me jiggling bimbos. That's like a running joke. And you get 6 of them on the laptop view. You get 6 little short thumbnails. And I was joking with Bill yesterday about 6 for 6 jiggling bimbos, but today I had 5 for 6 and 1 greenie.
Well, the reason why that is, I'll tell you what happens sometimes is, like, I'm looking at my analytics for these shorts, and what they'll do is, like, I'll go, sometimes it's right up, immediately off the bat, they put it on the shelf, and sometimes it'll be like 12 hours later, and then I'll see it spike like this, and they'll put it on for like 20 minutes, and I'll get 600, 800 views. But then if you're not getting that, like, for like a 20-second video, you got to have over 100% watch time, over 100. Like, people watch it and watch it again. You know what I mean? So if it's not getting a really good view percentage, they just take it off. So, you know, the analytics goes like this, bam, up, and then like that. I've never had one stay on where it went viral. I had one that I got in like a half hour, 4,000 views, but then it's still, they took it off. That was my best one. It was one with Thai. It was the one at one of the food carts with the guy making the noodles and everything. And I edited it and made it like 2-second clips. I did a real good edit job on that, and it stayed on for a little while. But it's like, it's just, they recommend it. But if you don't perform, like the ones that perform, people watch it like 120, 130%. Yeah.
That one I did with the you eating pizza. That one took right off. It shot up, but I think it got up to about 4,500 views, and then they turned the faucet off on it. So
I don't think the interest in that video was me eating the pizza.
no, it wasn't. It was the girl standing behind you.
Well, just like that one you had on TikTok, Charlie. I mean, that one really was funny. It hit the algorithm and just, exploded.
99,000 views. But what Greenie's talking about, I have a TikTok video where I got where I live. There's one of those promotional balloons where there's the balloon's arm is going like this.
In the head, yeah.
Stood underneath it. It was hitting me on top of the head, and I was going, shit. No.
There's a little bit more profanity than that.
Got 99,000 views.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing it. I think that they finally figured out that if they don't turn the spigot off, it's going to get a lot worse. So I'd say that's probably why they're cracking down on it. But there's a lot of channels on there.
Their advertisers don't like it. Whatever their advertisers want to pay. So if it's something they may find offensive and that could upset an advertiser, they're just not going to put it on there. And so they're, what were they saying, Bill? Like anything, like even like those funny food videos where people are making like sexual noises when they're eating, like that may even be anything that just can arouse somebody. They said you can't do it anymore. Twerking, massages, eating with sexual noises, all that type of stuff.
I saw that. There's a girl on Twitch. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but she's got this electronic ear, and she licks the ear, and it makes some kind of crazy. It's the strangest damn thing I've ever seen. It showed up on Facebook, and I clicked on it, and and she's making a ton of money. It's just unbelievable. It says, best pepperoni pizza in Chiang Mai is not Duke's. Where is it then? Tell me. I'll go try it. But it just amazes me that the things that people come up with. She had this electronic ear, and she's all kind of decked out, and she just sits there and licks the ear, and the electronic ear is a microphone. And you're hearing all the sounds, and everybody in the room's going crazy. Strangest thing I'd ever seen.
He asked where the pepperoni pizza in Chiang Mai, but not Duke's. Ask you.
Best pepper, but not. Oh, you're asking me.
Yeah.
In Chiang Mai.
Oh. So they
please.
want to know the second best if that's
Stop
the
it
best.
bad.
Okay. Gosh, I don't know. I'll tell you. I'll tell you a place that is good. Pizza My Heart in Niman is really good. You can try that one. That's the only other pizza place I know of that has decent pizza. Now Rose's has decent pizza. You can try that or Pizza My Heart. Now I've also heard of another place on the east side of the moat. It's Together Bar or something like that. I've never had the pizza, but they say that's pretty good too. But who knows? I guess it's all just a matter of taste.
Speaking of pizza and the munchies, have you noticed an increase in marijuana shops in Chiang Mai? Are they all like I went out last night. I took a guy's night out, hung out with one of my buddies. He came into Pattaya, so I went and got a room there. And it's like Amsterdam, I guess. I've never been to Amsterdam, but there's pot shops everywhere. There's people on the streets with a table set up, selling it, makeshift stands. And one guy had at least 20 different kinds. Like, what's the difference? He goes, oh, this is imported from California. I'm like, how's that? But it's just crazy. It's everywhere. It's just insane. Do you like that in Bangkok or Chiang Mai right now yet?
Hmm?
Is it like that there at your guys' places?
As far as what, the pizza?
No, marijuana shops everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
Yeah, you go to pizza after you smoke the marijuana.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The
everywhere.
munchies. That's what made me think about that.
You can't walk inside the city. You can't walk 100 feet without running into they call them these green places. I don't know what they are, but they're everywhere now.
Dispensaries, yeah.
I was up in Chiang Mai last month. I stopped at a coffee shop. It's a tattoo parlor coffee shop on that walking street you have there. What's the name of it? And I had just remembered once upon a time going there and had really good coffee, which they do. And I like the artwork they have on the wall. Well, in addition, last month I went in and had a whole menu of cannabis. They had a cannabis menu, right? And I ordered the coffee, and I think they had a little croissant or something that I offered. And I asked them if they had equal, right? And they're like, oh, no. And they said it in a way like, oh, that's bad for you kind of response. And I thought, wait a minute, hold on a second here. You're a coffee shop, so you have coffee. They had booze up on the shelf, Jack on the shelf. They do tattoos, and they sell marijuana, but they don't want to give it to people because they're concerned about your health. I thought that was hysterical. Here in Bangkok, our friend Dana, who was on this live stream, I don't know, I guess a couple of weeks ago, and Dana has what's his channel name? I forget his channel name. But
yeah.
And he's a big boy with a beard. I was with him yesterday, him and his wife, and I was shooting a video with him. And he invited me today. I didn't go, but he invited me to a gig that he had in M Quartier. For those of you who may not know what that is, that's a big fancy mall here in Bangkok. Very not very high end, but a high end fancy kind of mall. And they have this event space on the top where he was going to be from 10 a.m. this morning till about 11 o'clock tonight. He's doing, photography and other things for the event. He's actually working, and he's doing some, he's helping them with their promotion. So he's doing photography and he does design. He does graphic design and that kind of stuff. So in that genre, that's his purpose there. But it's all about pot. They're going to have, presentations of the legalities of pot, of the different uses for it. And what is it? CBD oil, I think it is. It's a pot.
Yeah.
They had a buffet lunch where the food is all cooked with CBD extract. And he's inviting me to this with a big smile on his face, like it's going to be an exciting thing for me. And it's not, because I don't use marijuana, but I have no objection. If you want to, go have a good time. I mean, I did back in the 60s, but that was a long time ago. And this is apparently a big corporate event all around marijuana, in addition to the dozens and dozens of shops and trucks and everything else popping up everywhere. What once used to put you in jail back in my younger days is now, no problem.
Central Festival Mall in Pattaya had a marijuana expo this weekend. So they got a big thing set up. I didn't go there, but a guy I know posted about it, and I saw it in the paper or on the paper on the online on the newspaper.
Seems
Yeah,
like
crazy.
pressure is on the vloggers now, and you have to make creative content for less money. It must be stressful. Appreciate all the work you do. For me, I just enjoy making the videos. Um, it's. I guess there's some people that do it for a living, and I don't think the three of us do. But yeah, I'd say the pressure is on them a little bit. But we just make what we want.
Yeah, I'm not even monetized, and I'm near the threshold where I can be, and I'm not that interested in it yet. If my channel got really big, then I might sign up for ads and stuff. But for right now, I'm just doing it because I like to, and I don't even follow. I think one of the reasons my channel is not that big is I don't follow any of the recommendations that these content creators who are real serious recommend. Like, I don't put content in my thumbnail because I like to take nice pictures and use them in the thumbnail. For the most part, I have, some stuff there that's different, but I like to make nice thumbnails, so I want to cover them up with content. I don't do the, hey, this video is going to be about this, and you got to listen, please subscribe and all that bullshit. Now, I have a tendency to talk in an excited way at times, but that's really just my way. I taught yoga for 20 years, so I'm used to speaking, in an encouraging fashion, that kind of thing. It's not me being a salesy person, because that's not what I want to do. It's nice that people watch my stuff, but I'm kind of happy with the amount of people that are watching it now. It's like my last video, over 500 people watched it. That's,
Charlie,
hell,
you don't need to put an effort in. You're already animated. You got the naturally.
yeah,
So you can say that you don't want it, you don't do that, but you're already like that, so it doesn't matter. They wrote the book about you. But yeah, they do. There's a lot of things that they recommend. I tried some of the techniques. I know me and Bill talk about them. We watch some of these videos, like that Nick Neiman, and they give some helpful hints. And I wish I would have started this. Well, they didn't have it 20 years ago, but this would have been, if I was a young kid, and you can make a living. That's the newest thing, is making a living on online. I just read an article. Actually, the lady that's in charge of shorts, she's in charge of shorts for YouTube, and I follow her on LinkedIn, and she posted an article that she made comments in, and all about that. Like, the younger generation, like 50%, think that they can make a living online, doing online content and things like that. Like, it's one of the biggest growing fields that there is. So it kind of would have been be a lot more fun than riding a police car, I think. Well, that was fun at first. Until the cameras came around.
A lot of things would have been more fun than that.
Yeah, until we started to have these and like this. I never had to do that, but I wouldn't like to be wearing this.
Yeah, I got out before the body cameras. I was glad I did.
Mm-hmm.
I fought the car camera. They were installing car cameras my last 2 years, and I made sure I was at the end of the line to get one. I never did have to put one in, but I fought that as far as I could. Have you guys listened to Everyday Bangkok podcast? No, I've never watched him. Did you guys ever seen him?
No, I haven't heard of it. No,
I've never heard of it either.
Well, it's a podcast. I don't listen to podcasts.
Hattie Doyle seems to make a living. However, I'm told he's not popular in the Vietnam ATM. I don't know.
Did that big series? I don't know.
Charlie's on Prozac.
What that mean?
Prozac?
Yeah.
That's a drug that makes you crazy.
It's an antidepressant.
Oh,
So it makes you happy. Doesn't make you crazy. Makes you happy. Yeah.
It was so funny when Charlie and I first started talking to each other, and he was telling me, he said, I've got to calm down a little bit. I've got to kind of relax myself a little bit. And I told him, I said, Charlie, I said, that's you. And all the facial expressions and the talking loud, and the New York accent. Don't change it. That's
That's what people like.
I love it. That's the excitement of your videos. You get so wound up. I just don't want you to have a stroke while you're, talking. But that's the best part of your videos. Charlie, there's no fire. Calm down. He
Hey,
never-
wait a minute. We got to back up on that one, because one of the things that made me really good at being a fire officer, and I was one of the best in the world. And I could back that up with data. I was. And one of the reasons was because the crazier it got, the calmer I got. It was just the thing that I had trained myself to do, because we had screamers in the fire department. And, you know, I used to train my men. Screamers are part of the problem. Ignore them. It's like, I'm sure you guys ran into that in police too, when things
Oh, we had, yeah.
you know, when things get really nuts, you know, being able to be calm, and especially with us, because both these face pieces that cover your mouth, if it's moving your face, you can't hear a bloody thing. And you have to be able to communicate on a radio. So I used to train my guys, take a breath, calm down, and talk in a normal tone of voice inside of the face piece, and the microphone will pick it up. You could really see the difference, right? So I trained myself over the years, and I got to the point, especially toward the end, the nuttier the circumstances were, the crazier the environment was, the more calm I became. I don't know if I could still pull that up, but it's a good skill to have.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, we had screamers on the radio. Guys getting in a chase or doing anything. You can't understand anything they're saying.
What, Greenie, what's the craziest thing you ever heard come over the radio? Somebody sitting on their mic or something that wasn't supposed to come out?
Yeah, I mean, there's been open mics, people talking about people, that type of thing. You know, yeah, that's not a good one. I specifically, I'd have to think about it. I can't, you know.
Yeah. We had two guys riding one night together, and one of them started talking about his girlfriend. He's married. And he starts telling his friend about his girlfriend, you know, the guy that's riding with him. And the whole time his mic was keyed. And you talk about getting in some trouble, boy. He got chewed bad. But I don't know what happened when he got home. We never did hear. And, you know, everything went out of la la land. Oh.
Hey, when I had a yoga studio in Western Massachusetts, in Northampton, Bikram Yoga, Northampton, Massachusetts, and one of my students was a Massachusetts state trooper. Her name was Christine. And Christine was hot. She was tall and blonde hair, blue eyes, good-looking lady, and she was a spotter in the police helicopter. They had, you know, as most police departments, big police departments do these days, and that was her job, is, you know, to be the spotter in the helicopter. She didn't fly it; she was there to do whatever police spotters do, and I guess it's enough. Busy. Well, she came in one day and she was so excited to show me this video. I guess it was on a laptop or something. She was really pleased with it. And they had their infrared devices, some criminal that they were chasing, and he drove off the side of the road and got out of the car, jumped over a fence, and yada, yada, yada. But they were able to follow him from the helicopter. It was at night, and they were able to follow that little green image that you see in those infrared images, or whatever kind of heat-seeking images they are. And they were able to apprehend the guy, you know, and I forget what he did, but he did something really nasty enough to require a helicopter and a platoon of patrol cars to go chasing his dumb ass. So he was a serious criminal, and they arrested him. So she was like delighted, because she saw herself as, like, you know, a really pivotal part of making all this happen. And I suppose she was, and she couldn't wait to show it to me. And I remember I listened to it with the earphones at the time. And I was just so disappointed, because she was such a bloody screamer. She was like, and I think she saw my face or something. She goes, "Yeah, I got a little excited." She said, like, if she would have worked for me, that was nice. So she's my yoga student. I was retired and I had nothing to do with that. I just congratulated her, and that was the end of it. But I thought, if I was her boss, I'd come down on her ass, man, because, you know, it's like you couldn't understand half of what she said, because she's just screaming her damn ass off. And I understand that the adrenaline gets you, and you have to go. But as a professional, it's your job to overcome that. And, you know, like I said, you're a screamer. You become part of the problem. That's my view.
That's funny. Gosh. I'll tell you, go ahead.
Oh. No, I was just gonna say, not on the radio, but I know one time they were we had this guy, an employee that was he was from a small department originally, but then he ended up, like more of a country department. Then he ended up working in our department, which is a busy department, near Detroit, right next to Detroit. And for some reason, there was some investigation, and they look at the tape of this one guy, and he had a traffic stop that he never reported, never called out, but he got out. Like the lady, he was trying to arrest her, and she said no. He got in the car and just drove off, and he never reported it, never chased her, never did anything, and it was kind of crazy. Just weird stuff that you come across like that, like you were talking about the tape. But yeah, I've seen some weird stuff. I have to try to recall the crazy. We had one guy on the radio though, always screaming. Anytime he's in a chase, like he would just have a normal traffic stop, and you'd think he was in a chase because he's screaming, like getting so excited about it, because this person's going 15 over, rah, 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 just right, just routine things, and he'd be screaming. So, I should think about all these old stories one time. You don't think about things for so long, like you just forget about everything. You know what I mean? Like all the stories and different things,
Such a
Well,
long
that's
time.
stuff I don't want to remember any more of it.
All right, exactly.
That's too bad. I love my job. I think very fondly of my 20 years in the department. It was an exciting and meaningful time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stopped raining here too. I don't hear it coming now. But I was in town today, and the river is really, really high. It's a lot higher than it has been the last few days.
One of the viewers mentioned that, hey, it's October. I thought that was the beginning. Well, it's not October, it's September, but that I thought it was the beginning of the dry season, and that's not my experience here. What I'm told is the rain, toward September in the 6 years that I've been here has been the heaviest part of the rainy season. End of August into September. That's what we're getting now. It's particularly heavy this year, and and toward mid-October it starts to lighten up a little bit, but it's not until like mid-November that the dry season starts. And what I was told by a meteorologist kind of person that that has to do with the Himalayan mountains, that the monsoons are affected by the Himalayas and the temperature in the Himalayas, and when the Himalayas start to freeze, that's when the rain stops. So, when does that happen? I guess in November.
Well, I'll tell you, when I did my quarantine, I started October 31st and got out November 14th. And, I had it timed down to a T, like, okay, that is the end of the rain. That's like the second week of November, that's like officially the end of the rainy season. But not necessarily true, though. If you go down to the islands, to Koh Samui, Koh Tao, all that, theirs is like goes into December. Like a lot of people plan trips and think, okay, they're avoiding the rainy season, but then they go down there and find that they have a later rainy season. Theirs kind of runs later than ours does here. So it's kind of crazy.
I remember in Singapore, it rained all year long. During the dry season, it rained for an hour every day. Then in the rainy season, it rained all day every day. So, now Singapore is almost on the equator. It's only 1 degree off the equator, so they have their own kind of weather there. But they didn't really have a dry season. It always rained there. So I guess the further south you go, the more you run into that.
We had planned a trip south, and I don't know. Right now, I don't know when we're going to go because every place down there is just about flooded. She was telling me that Rayong's flooded, and quite a few places down there are flooded now.
Yeah, my girlfriend Buakaw has a half brother who lives south of here in not Kanchanaburi, but something that sounds like that, Chanaburi or something.
Chantaburi.
Chantaburi.
It's next to Rayong.
Yeah, that's it. And he's a half brother to my girlfriend, who she hasn't seen in 9 years. Now this guy, he has a farm, and he sends us a giant crate of durian. For those of you in the West that don't know what it is, it's a gigantic, foul-smelling fruit that people love to death here, or like me, hate it. It stinks, and I don't like it. But nonetheless, this is an expensive gift that he sends during whatever season that is.
Yeah.
To Buakaw every year, and her and the kids and her family really appreciate it, And I was like, "You haven't seen him in 9 years. We got to go see him." And I figured it'd make a good video, so I was planning on doing a trip down to this durian farm. He grows other stuff too, so she could see her half brother, and I could get a video out of it, and it'd be a fun trip. And we were all set to go, and she finally said, "You know what? It's not a good time to go right now because it's just raining too goddamn hard."
Yeah.
And the problem with that, I don't even go out. She's stuck right now. I got a message about 10 minutes ago. Her and the kids are at M. Courtier, that mall I was talking about, and they're stuck. They can't get a taxi because it rained, it flooded, and now they're just sitting in the sidewalk waiting for somebody to take them home. And it ain't gonna be me. But that's what happens if you go out here during the rainy season. You can get stuck wherever you are if there's a flash flood.
Carry a raincoat, an umbrella. Just about every place you go.
That you don't mind walking through big puddles in.
Yeah.
You'll like Chantaburi. It's actually reminded me of like Chiang Mai a little bit. There's a big mountain. You can go up to the waterfalls and stuff. It's really nice. I really liked it. And there's actually a real old Catholic church there. They have a big, that's a big Catholic area for Thailand and Chantaburi. And so you go from where I am, and then once I'm in the last province in Chonburi, so Sattahip. So once we leave Sattahip, we're in Rayon. Then the next one's Chantaburi, and then after that is Trat. Then you're in Cambodia.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a Trat. I remember seeing that when I looked at it.
Yeah. So we did a vacation there. We went down there and spent like 4 days in Chantaburi. Stayed at a couple of different places, and it was nice. There's some cool stuff there. Yeah.
Yeah, she was just a little, she suddenly got cold feet about traveling in the rainy season. And, she's right. It's like we can wait another 6 weeks and then go.
Yeah. We went to a durian farm there. We just were driving around and ended up in the middle of some durian farm. So I got out and made some videos. Then, they grow durian all over there. Then we stopped at a roadside stand and, Phi interpreted. I talked to the guy asking about, they have different kinds. And it was in a little video I made a while back. And actually, she told me yesterday somebody she knows is trying to sell they're trying to sell a durian farm right now. If anybody's in the market and wants to buy a durian farm, let me know. I can get you hooked up with this guy. I think it's like a bunch of rye. I don't remember how 100 rye. I don't remember how much she said, but
yeah, don't tell Boo how she might buy it. She's made some money, my honey, for flipping property up in Loei province, which is way up north. That's where she's from. And she actually wound up with I think an 80 rye plot that her brother-in-law has been growing corn on, feed corn, and this was the second year. And because it's been such a rainy year, apparently they have a good crop, so she's expecting to make some dough on that. She's an impressive woman, my girlfriend. She knows how to. She doesn't spend money ever. She's very frugal, which is good, and she knows how to make money. She's just a very clever person at taking advantage of opportunities. She just made a bunch of money last month on a couple of buffaloes. She bought a couple of buffaloes, which I thought was hysterical. We think of buffalo, but they use them like tractors in places up north. And she has family up north. They all have their own houses and property, and there's a bunch of land that they farm up there. And so they took care of the buffalo. We never even saw the buffalo. She bought the two buffalo. One of them was pregnant, gave birth to other buffaloes. So she wound up with 4 buffalo. I think she had it for a total of 6 months, and she made 100,000 baht profit on selling buffaloes. Yeah, when she sold them, I was like, really? She was real proud of herself. It was about 120,000 baht profit. But she had to, of course, pay her family for caring for the damn things and feeding them. So she had to include them in on the windfall as well. But I was impressed, of course, of 6 months to make that, percentage of a profit on a couple of animals. Shows you what I know about agriculture. Not a thing.
That's wow.
Yeah, and she's good like that. So her father, I would love to do a story. I don't know how to pull it together. I never met the man. He died, long before I was in Thailand. But he sounds like such a clever guy. He showed up on foot in this area. The village is called Samhai, Bun Samhai, and in the 70s, in the late 70s, I think 77 or 78. And they didn't even have roads at the time. They had footpaths. And he showed up on foot with an elephant. He had his own elephant. And he established himself in that area. He wound up as the Puyaban of Ban Samhai. it was also a communist area at the time. There were a lot of communist insurgents that were around there, and all kinds of. As a matter of fact, the current king was an army officer at the time, and he led he led a contingent of soldiers into that region to quell the communist revolution, that kind of thing. Now, her father wasn't a revolutionary; he was a wheeler dealer, is what he was, and he wound up with a lot of property there. Of course, being a Puyaban, that means that's a village leader, and it very often was, and in some cases still is, a corrupt position. They work in concert with the local authorities and stuff. It's
no corruption, no.
I'm sorry.
No corruption.
Well, there was then, especially when they were having the problems with the communists and everything else. And he established himself as a big landholder up there. He has Buakaw has 5 sisters that are her full sisters from him. He also had 3 Mianoi around the country. That's a mistress for those of you watching. And there used to be a system. Polygamy used to be legal here up until 1949, and it still existed well in the 70s and 80s in rural areas like this. And there was kind of rules that were in place, although Bo says, her mother hated the other couple of Mianoi, it didn't make the jealousy go away. But I guess they just had to accept it. And she has like 4 or 5 half siblings around the country as well that were mothered by the Mianoi, and her family and her kids. Well, kids never met the guy, but they all think very high. They loved their father and they respected him, and he left them in a pretty prosperous position for that region of the world. In that they have enough land to subsist on, and and they're a prominent family in the region, so they still continue to do okay for rural farming folks. And I just think it's such an interesting story, especially when you throw the communist thing in there. It's like you crank it up. And I wish I could figure out a way to do a video around it. And maybe one day I will.
That's funny.
But she's a clever girl. And, she totally won't okay the Mianoi thing. It's like, oh, come on, Dad had it. Dad had it.
Yeah, you'll have a heck of a time with that one. I've been gone a while, and we'll be catching up on your walks. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. I've got one going up tomorrow. I walked the Klong again yesterday, and there's a little part of Chiang Mai where they fixed up along the Klong, and I did it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And as I was doing it, I said, pretty soon people are going to start selling stuff, and have restaurants out there. And sure enough, I went back. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and it's turned into a tourist attraction now. The only thing that they haven't done, and it's really strange, is they haven't put any guardrails up yet. And there's about a 6 or 8 foot drop into the Klong from the sidewalk. So I don't know if they're going to put guardrails up there or not. You don't think they will?
They're not pretty.
They're not pretty yet, but they may save somebody's life.
Yeah, honey, here is not safety first. Safety is the last.
The last?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Money first.
Way down on the list.
Money first.
Way down on the list.
Yeah.
Safety.
It's and I said
they can swim.
The lady a month ago could swim. She drowned in it. Just not more than 100 meters from where they put this place. The lady fell in and drowned last month. She was using She went to use the restroom at one of the restaurants around there, and there wasn't any rail. Apparently, she had a little bit too much and kind of fell in, and that was the last she saw of them. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But.
There was a bar in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was a famous bar, and it was like 5 levels. Like it was this building that just goes up, and they had this stairwell that you just go up from level to level. Different bars, different things. This complex, but the stairs were whatever. I mean, I don't remember how high the rail was, but it was low enough that after about the 3rd person fell down and broke their neck, they decided to install an elevator or do something. They had to shut down this area or close in it or do something. But they it was like off limits of stairs after that. It's crazy.
Okay, I'll see you later.
Yeah, sleeping.
Bye-bye. Have you guys had people ride motorbikes through the cables across the street yet?
Oh, like catch their neck?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, I got a bunch of articles about that. I'm going to talk about that in an upcoming video, actually. But yeah, it's happened 3 or 4 times. One guy got decapitated. 2 other people, they lived, but they had marks on their neck from that. One was a cable wire from the thing, and the other one was something else. But it's usually the cable wires. There was one hanging right down my street, but not on the street, but in like this parking area that people pull through.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
We've had 4 in about the last 6 months.
Yeah. Probably one of them or 2 of them I read might be in your region. You know, I just was reading about it, doing some research.
It's maybe one day they'll fix it. I don't know. Somebody was telling me. I was asking somebody. I said, how they figure out what wires go where? You know, because I mean, just massive wires. And somebody's telling me they've got this little machine they'll put on one end, and then they'll go back to the other end, but they want to find, and they put something up, and it tells them exactly which wire it is. But I don't see how they can. You know,
I think, you know, the way Fi explained it to me is that, you know how birds fly, it's kind of an instinct. Well, ties with all those wires, they just know. She said there was a guy out there in the dark, and this thing had 100 wires, and he's up there working. I'm like, how the hell does he know what he's looking for? And she's like, oh, he just knows. They know. Okay. I don't know.
It's magic.
better than me.
It's their job. Maybe there's some little label on each wire that we don't know about or something up there, you know, where they're hooked in, or who knows.
Oh, temples. I've got a lot of temples. Most of my videos will have a temple in them, in one time or another. But I don't do a specific video on a temple per se anymore. I used to, but usually when I go on a walk, I usually hit a temple just about every time. Sometimes I don't, but I try to most of the time. But you know, it just there's so many temples here. I mean, everywhere you go, there's a temple.
Yeah, I used to do some temples and stuff. I don't know. I just find like there's a lot of videos on temples, and maybe if you just do a temple video, I don't think people are.
Yeah,
They
that's
just
true.
they don't do
Yeah.
too well.
They don't go as well. You know, I think people enjoy them more if you kind of stumble up on it. And what I generally try to do is I'll try to, if I come up on one, I'll walk through it, you know, and then exit out the other side, and that's pretty much about what you see. Hey, Ken, how
I
you
love
doing?
them.
Yeah, I
I
like
love
the
the
one that
ornateness of them, and you know, you can.
My wife usually done later. Let's see what else we got here. Just seems like there's so many. There's as many temples. There's more temples than there are 7-Elevens, I think, but not as many. There's more coffee shops than both of them. So I think.
And now weed shops.
Yeah. That's going to be the new thing. I just saw something on the internet about the hotels now in Bangkok. They're not letting they've outlawed weed inside the temples, or not the temples, in the hotels. Did you see anything about that?
No, I don't pay that much attention to it. It's weed is weed. It's been around anyway. I mean, prior to it being legal, I guess people could have bought it. I don't know that much about it. I'm talking out of the side of my head here. I was on Soy 11 in the Sukhumvit area last week, and there was a truck there. Looked like an old ice cream truck, a big old white truck, and it had
I saw that.
Yeah, it had neon lights on the side. You know, marijuana for sale, and I thought, hey, we're in a brave new world here. So yeah, it's everywhere.
Nobody asked me to go to the. That's a good one. I've never heard that one before. You can throw a stick in Chiang Mai without hitting a temple, but you kind of see them all. Yeah, you know, I enjoy going in and just doing the walkthrough. You know, because some of them are different. There's some out in the country that really are better than the ones inside the city. You know, it just depends on how much money they put into them.
Thanks, Robert. Yep, we'll be heading to Singapore, Malaysia, the end of October. So that'll be probably my next time out of the country.
Oh, that's nice.
I think what I'm going to do is jump on a cruise from. I was going to. So we were flying to Singapore for two nights, and then I was going to fly to Penang, then Kuala Lumpur, and then fly back from there. But I found a cruise that goes to Kuala Lumpur, then it goes to Penang, then it goes to Phuket, and instead of taking the ship, it's Royal Canadian Caribbean, whatever it's called. Instead of taking the ship for a full day at sea, which is the worst part to me, I don't like the day at sea. I'll just take my stuff off in Phuket and fly home from there and save, instead of paying 120 each for the flight, we'll pay $29 each for the flight to get home from Phuket. That's my idea.
Go ahead.
I'm traveling to New York in December, and it'll be a long trip. I'm going to go across the country and fly back to Manila, and it's a big, long trip. But one of the things I was considering, and I looked into all the details, I was going to stop in London, visit there, and take the Queen Mary across the Atlantic. And it looked like a really interesting trip. But when I drilled down into the real price of it, it was just expensive, flying into London and then taking the Queen Mary. But it's something that I think I would like to do, because the Queen Mary is one of the last, I think the last ocean liner. That's what it does. It travels from Southampton, England to New York. It might have a couple of other routes, but that's its main route. It's not a cruise ship. It's an ocean liner. It was built for that and designed for that. So it handles heavy seas a little bit better than some of the cruise ships, or at least that's what the Cunard people are saying on their website. But they had a formal night, and they have things like that. They're trying to recapture, the golden days of the 1940s and 50s ocean crossing kind of thing, and that just appealed to me. And I thought that I might do it, but it is a little bit pricey, so I decided not to do it this trip.
That'd be a good video.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That would be a good cruise. Now, I've been on 7-day. I've been on 2 7-day cruises, and I enjoyed them. I mean, they were a lot of fun, and the food was excellent.
You're a foodie.
Eat from the time. That's what Leck liked about it. She could go out any time of the day, night, and walk out of the cabin, and there'd be food there.
There's cutbacks. They said Carnival cut back the all-day pizza bar. They're not doing it anymore.
I wouldn't go there.
Cutbacks.
Do you believe in using a visa agent as a waste of money? I've never used a visa agent. I've always done my own from the beginning. I mean, I know a lot of people that use them, but after I did the first one, the rest of them are pretty easy. The only thing that the visa agent can do is get you an appointment and save you a lot of time as far as waiting in line and making sure all your papers are in route, in the proper order that they need to be in. So you just basically walk in and throw the papers down, you sign them, and you walk out. But I've never used one. I think you've used one, haven't you, Greeny? You ever used a visa agent?
No, I looked into it a little bit once. It was a pain in the butt, but I still did it myself. But I used the agent that for the marriage stuff. They did because there was a lot of translations, and they're like real professional. Like I said, they just did those translations, our wedding certificate, all these different, our house books. They just translated everything for me recently, and it's very professional.
I had an agent that I was using to do. I have a retirement visa. I think that's I don't know what kind of visa.
or OA.
Retirement visa, and it's based on a monthly income. Bring over 65,000 baht a month into the country, and that's what qualifies me for the visa. That, and I'm over 55. That are 2 basic requirements. And it is a little bit of an administrative chore and a headache, but I've been here 6 years. I know what they want, and I know what to bring, and I can't get it done now. And post-COVID, everything has slowed down at the immigration center, so I'm very often out before lunchtime, which never used to happen. It used to be a whole day affair. But prior to COVID, in addition to that, you have to do 90-day reports, which you can do online now. So they're not a big either. But I used to hire an agent to do my 90-day report. I bring my passport, and you go back 2 days later and you pick it up, and it would have the 90-day report thing in it. And I thought that was worth the money. Whatever it was. And this woman, I was about to have her renew my visa. I think she wanted 3,000 baht for it, which is about $100, a little less than $100 these days. And I thought that was well worth it, just to save me the whole day of wasting an entire day at the immigration center. And sometimes I would make mistakes, and it would be annoying. And so, yeah, I had all the intentions of using her, and then COVID happened. First, many of the expats went away, and she went out of business, so I never did get to use it. But if I find a good one next, I just did it recently, so I have another year left. But if I found an agent that wasn't too expensive, I would use them just to avoid having to spend the entire day there. What the visa agent does that's worth the money is that you get to go to the head of the line, basically.
Yeah, it saves you a lot.
3,000 baht, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I was quoted 12,000 for the renewal.
Wow.
That's a little high.
12,000,
I'd do it myself, but if it was five or under, I would go with it.
Yeah.
Some guys are paying 40.
Yeah, I think the going price here is 7,000 for a marriage visa and retirement visa. But I don't know. I just go early in the morning, and I don't think I've ever been in there. In the last 5 years, I don't think I've ever been in there more than 3 hours at the most to get it done and get out of there. And
3 hours.
Yeah.
I've spent 8 hours in Chiang Mai. This last one I was out before lunch, but that's only because post COVID there aren't as many people here as that. There aren't as many people.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's true.
So I expect that one day it will get back up to the jam-packed, kill the whole day there kind of affairs. In which case, I don't know. I might consider a 7,000.
Yeah. Well, we've actually here, if you count the inside the airport, we've actually got 3 places we can go to. We got one by the airport, and then there's one in the Central Festival that you can go to. It takes 20 minutes, huh? Yeah, I don't think the only thing that I can do in 20 minutes, and actually less than 20 minutes, is my 90-day report. And it's real cool because we got a drive-through. I don't even get out of the car. I just hand the guy my passport and my slip, and he stamps it and passes it back through the window, and I'm usually out of there in 5 or 10 minutes. It's no big deal. But before I used to have to wait at least an hour to an hour and a half to do a 90-day report. But that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, now it's
just like your McDonald's. But if anybody's got any questions, ask them, because we're past the hour point, and I've got I'm gonna go relax and chill out. If not, we'll close it out, guys. I appreciate you coming. We'll do it again next week and see who else shows up. Appreciate y'all coming. Appreciate everybody that's coming to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Adios from Chiang Mai.